Good morning. Come on. Hi, I'm Audrey Russo, and I run the Tech Council, and I'm thrilled that you're here today. We are going to have people trickling in this morning. I know it's a lovely rainy morning, but I'm glad to be here. So we are pretty excited about the first time that we are all coming together around the opportunity around big data. And we're really proud to co-host this with Riza, who is a longtime friend and member of the PTC, and also someone personally that I was affiliated with when I worked at Maya Design. So it's pretty exciting to watch these companies breathe life into not only their ideas, but the work that they do. So very exciting to hear from them. So we are very excited, not only that, but what we have in store for this morning's panel presentation, to this afternoon's TED Talks, Tech Talks, and standalone presentations from Lockheed Martin and Gamut following breakfast. So we have an action-packed day. None of this is possible without my staff. Really, if you see a woman, Julian Scranton, and she's in the back there pointing to her, this is, what do you think about the name of today? Right? Okay, well, is that a big love or it's a big love. That's a big morning love. Okay, I get it. So thanks to our tried and true CIO Insight sponsor series, sponsors, which is Comcast, AdviseX, and CGI. They are long-term partners, and if you don't know them, get to know them. They are around and providing valuable support and services to this region and beyond. And we can't do anything without them. Be sure to grab a drink at the Comcast-hosted happy hour following the Tech Talks, and check out most of today's presentations on the PTC YouTube's page, Big Data Remix, provided by CGI. Thanks, CGI, again, for the opportunity to do that. So a huge thank you also goes to our Tech Talk room sponsors, CenturyLink, Hitachi Data Services, and Iron Mountain. They are each hosting, introducing, and in some cases presenting in each Tech Talk rooms this afternoon. So if you should have everyone should have one of these. Should give you enough information about what's happening today. And if you want to drill down, there's actually a link that you can go on the I Love It When You Call Me Big Data, and you can get more information about what's happening in each of the breakout sessions, as well as this morning's opportunities. And just everyone should know that the restrooms are right outside to my right, and which is your left. And if you need any help of any kind, I have a bunch of staff that are here that can help you at any level. We also have an open wireless, so that should be easy for you to pick up. There's no password, and I think that's all for the housekeeping right now. So I want to thank Pittsburgh Dataworks for participating in this event today, and to BX Video for their video coverage of today's events. So our sponsors are going to be around all day, so take the time to learn about them, meet them, and understand what they're doing to help all of us. Finally, we're using a service called Eventstagram throughout the day, and any Instagram photo you hashtag with hashtag PTC Big Data will be added to the stream that will be on display in the foyer. So now I have the pleasure of introducing Saman Haqqi, and she's program director at the Watson Group, IBM president of Pittsburgh Dataworks, which is actually a group of leaders that she's coalesced to focus on the promotion of big data, understanding, the greater Pittsburgh area, what people are working on, what companies are working on, the education, the awareness, the adoption, and even the earlier education about Pittsburgh data opportunities here, and the importance of data science and embedding that into curriculum. She has spent over 15 years of technology, marketing, and product management experience, helping develop and execute go-to-market and product strategies for small and large enterprises. So if you don't know Saman, take an opportunity to meet her. She is very well connected into the community and very passionate about this subject. On that note, I'm going to bring Saman up. And one last thing as she's walking up. If you don't have one of these that says "Good for One Free T-shirt," which I guess Julian is embargoing until 3 o'clock, you won't get one. So she's pretty proud of these T-shirts. So thank you, thank you. Thank you, Saman.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay, super. Not too loud? Okay, just trying to understand this. Well, thanks a lot. My name is Saman Haqqi, and I actually have two identities. I am, like Audrey said, I'm the program director of Watson Group, and you can think of Watson as a very special case or application of big data. It is really taking computing to a whole new level. We have another speaker from Watson Group at lunch, and I think you may hear a little bit more about it. But just to give you a little bit short intro, Watson is really... How many of you are familiar with the Jeopardy challenge that IBM Watson participated in? So this was a few years ago, and the challenge was, can we create a computer that can compete with what are, arguably some of the brightest people on the face of Earth, and can it compete with them in Jeopardy, which is an interesting challenge because the questions are not asked in a straightforward manner, and there are several connotations to the language. So that's really the genesis of Watson, and it was a grand challenge at IBM, and we had the final a few years ago, 3 years ago to be exact, and the computer was able to do that. So it was able to beat those humans, and from that time to now, that's how long it has taken the company to take that technology and commercialize it so that it can now start working in a variety of industries. So I'm a part of the Watson Group, created earlier this year, and it's a really exciting place to be. Again, very much based on big data. My other identity is as president of Pittsburgh Dataworks. This is an organization that was created in 2013, and the idea really is to promote big data education, awareness, adoption, and investment opportunities in Pittsburgh. So I'll cover it a little bit later during my presentation. So today I just wanted to take a few minutes to make sure that we're all aware of big data, and we're all on the same page in terms of what big data really means. So some of you may actually feel like this when you hear big data. If you have been in this space, there is a lot of hype around it. Everywhere when, mainstream newspapers like New York Times and Wall Street Journal and Business Week and Fortune magazine and Time start having articles and news on big data on a regular basis, you know that this is a concept that is kind of in the hype stage. So a lot of people feel like it's getting way too much ink, but being in this space myself, I strongly believe that this is not a case of something being hyped that hasn't arrived yet. Big data is already here. This is not something that's being predicted. Big data projects, big data technologies, tools, analysis, all of that is happening today at companies of all sizes. So this is something that really is going to revolutionize. It has already started changing the way that we live, work, and play, and it's going to change it even more. I mean, if you think back on internet and how it has changed our lives in the last 2 decades, I can tell you that in the next 2 decades, big data is going to have an even bigger impact on each and every one of our lives. So this is not something that's limited to technology or to computer scientists. It is affecting each and every one of us today. So it's very relevant for all of us to be at least aware of what this technology is and also start to understand how it applies to each and every one of our professional lives. So if we think about it, what happened? What's the big reason why we're talking about it? Where did this come from? There's a few, 3 or 4 different things that happened at the same time to create this big data tsunami or trend or revolution or whichever hyperbole you want to use around it. The first one is the types of data and the sources of data that are being created in the world. So it used to be where it was mainly business processes that were creating a lot of the data and some machine activity that was creating data. But in the last, I would say, 2 decades, the the entities that are creating data have grown exponentially. And this chart shows what a big part of that is us, each and every one of us human beings, as we are engaging in all kinds of online activities, digital activities, we are the source of a huge amount of data. And in addition to that, as we have what is now being called the Internet of Things, digitally connected, always on machines. Even our dogs have chips in their necks to track them. All of that technology is creating huge amounts of data. And to give you a little sense of how much data is being created, I don't know if you can read this slide, but in 60 seconds, each activity that we take for granted today, doing a Google search, posting a picture on Facebook, posting a picture on Instagram, tweeting about things, downloading videos, listening to music, streaming music, each and every one of these is generating terabytes and terabytes of data in 60 seconds. So the volume of data that is being generated today is just stupendous. I mean, the comparisons, the quantity, the numbers are really mind-boggling. In addition to our ability to generate a huge amount of data, what has really happened is technology has also advanced to increase our ability to store that data cost effectively. So, the things and the kind of storage and processing that used to be really expensive is now very, very cheap and affordable for everyone. I have a quick question. An iPhone that all of us pretty much carry today, a smartphone, if we wanted to create that in the early 90s, take a guess how much that would have costed. Any guess?
100,000.
More?
3.5 million.
There you go, 3.5 million. I mean, imagine that. And that is only, 15, 20 years ago. That's how fast this technology is growing, and it continues to grow. So our ability to generate data and our ability to store and process it has also grown exponentially in the last decade or so. And then finally, what do we do with all of this data? How do we process it fast enough and inexpensively enough that we can actually draw insights from it? And that has led to the creation of a whole new set of technologies. You're probably familiar with concepts like Hadoop, MapReduce, and NoSQL, and things like that. Those enable us to take these large quantities of data and process it really fast and inexpensively, so that now big data processing, storage, analysis is no longer something that's limited to a very, very small set of companies. On the Wall Street, they've always used big data and quants to do complex analyses about their investments. But that was a very, very small niche. It was millions of dollars of software and programming and human expertise that went into it. The great thing today about this big data revolution is that big data is democratized. So everyone, whether you're a company that is a Fortune 500, Fortune 50, or a small company today, can really be able to use data, access it, generate it, and analyze it to improve their operations. So all of these trends are the ones that came together to create this big data tsunami, revolution, whatever we want to call it. So I think when we think about big data, a lot of the times we get focused on the size of the data, but when we talk about projects, but this is not big data. It is, it's in terabytes. It's not in petabytes and zettabytes. When we think about big data, I think the biggest contribution or important message to take away is that the idea is to become data-driven. Instead of using, the hippo model or the gut instinct and experience and expertise of people, let's start using data to drive decision making. Whether it's small data or big data, it doesn't matter. That is the biggest contribution and change that's happening because of the arrival of big data, in my opinion. So, when we think about big data, we always focus on the size, but let's also focus on, the fact that we use data as the source for making our decisions moving forward. So I'm a marketing person and I can't get away from my 4 Ps. It seems like a whole new, lifetime when we used to talk about. This was my opportunity. Big data is a very big concept. You can talk about the technologies, you can talk about the storage, you can talk about the infrastructure, you can talk about the applications. I'm not a technologist by background, so I like to think about the applications. And I'm sure as you go through the sessions today and the panel and talks, each one of these is going to be covered. But if you want to think about what the impact of big data is, I like to think about it in these 4 Ps. Its ability to predict events and outcomes, its ability to personalize events and outcomes and business operations, its impact on privacy, of course, and its impact on professions. So the power, the promise of big data is in being able to allow us to really predict outcomes with a level of accuracy that we have never seen before. And that is being used from everywhere, from politics. You're all familiar with Nate Silver and the elections predictions that he did, to retail, to shopping, to healthcare, to medicine. We can predict outcomes. We can predict how much a movie is going to make on the blockbuster movie is going to make on the box office when it comes out. We can predict which music artists are going to be the breakout artists in any particular year. I mean, the examples of big data being used to make these kind of predictions successfully they keep on adding. You can actually predict what the revenue of a blockbuster movie is going to be by looking at the Wikipedia page for that movie and how many edits, changes, how many visitors, how many people are making, looking and updating those pages. That information can be used to predict what the dollar value of their box office revenue is going to be. That's really how good, and with the over 90% accuracy. That's how good we're getting to be at it. Personalization, again, big data is huge in the area of, the promise is huge in the area of healthcare, so that we are, not being driven by a generic set of treatment options and medicines, but really something that's personalized to my history, my genetic makeup, and my background. From healthcare, we go to education. I don't think it's me. I like that better than my speech. Woke everybody up, right? All right.
It's a hard act to follow.
That was fun. Okay. Are we okay now? Okay, good. All right. I have the song stuck in my head now. Yes, so personalized healthcare, personalized education, so that students are not, all being educated in the same way, but we can track. It's really all happening because we're all on computers, online, digital all the time. When we're on the computer, everything can be tracked, and then they can analyze it and figure out, I learn better math in the morning, or I learn it better visually, and all those kinds of things. So those are the really prediction and personalization are the huge areas of promise on big data. And that's where companies are investing huge amounts of money. IBM just came out with a technology. I don't know. The idea is you're going to take Twitter analysis and social media analysis beyond just simple sentiment analysis, where you say people feel positively or negatively about something, to actually finding out what kind of person you are and what kind of language you like to be talked to. So, my husband is always speaks in superlatives. Everything is awesome. If you ask him, how are you doing? Great, happy, excellent. So for him, something that's in that kind of a tonality appeals to him more, as opposed to me. I'm a curmudgeon, and I'm like, okay, I'm happy to be alive, that kind of a person. So don't do that hyperbole, that superlative stuff with me. So it's getting to that level of personalization where we can look at about, I think, 2,500 tweets from one person, or maybe even less, and really develop their psychographic profile now. So those are the promises of big data. And then privacy, I don't have to cover it. We all know it. This ship has sailed. There's nothing that can be done about taking it back. What each and every one of us needs to know is that whatever we do, whenever we play a game of Candy Crush or Farmville, or when we post, we are generating data and information about ourselves that somebody's capturing, somebody's analyzing, and somebody's doing something with it. So let's be informed about what we're doing and be aware of what that means for us personally. I'd love to see a date when I can take control of that information and decide who gets it, and maybe even get paid for it, since people are tracking it, but we're not there yet. And then obviously professions. So this is something that's very interesting. Big data has given rise to this whole new set of careers in what is called data science. There's a huge gap in terms of the demand for the skills and the shortage of the supply. And these are high-paying jobs, and it's a specific set of skills. So we want to make sure that people are aware, of the career opportunities on one side. But in addition to that, the big change that's happening is that every profession, whether you're a doctor, an engineer, an entertainer, a sports person, every profession is becoming data-driven. So, I don't have to be a data scientist to care about this new career. My own career has changed. As a VP of marketing, I can tell you how much, the whole marketing program that we run are now all about analytics. They're all about tracking, measuring, predicting, those kinds of things. So whether you're a teacher or an engineer or planning to, any field that you can be in, you are going to be working with data analysis, data tools. So as part of our continuing evolution, each and every one of us needs to stay abreast with that, understand that this is impacting our lives, personal and professional, and keep up with that area. Finally, if we think about it, this is again not something that's restricted to any one or two industry segments. It is everywhere, from manufacturing to retail to banking to businesses to consulting to government. Each and every one of those sectors today is collecting, analyzing, and using big data to optimize their operations, to make better decisions, to improve their profits and top and bottom lines and things like that. Where we are, but the question I often get is, and I'm sure a lot of people hear, is that is this something that's only relevant for big businesses like Walmart and Target? Those are the examples that we always hear about. And the reality is, it is something that's very relevant to small, medium businesses too. Even if you're not generating petabytes of data, you are generating data. So the way that you can really participate in this movement in big data is by becoming data-driven. Become conscious about the fact that you need to start collecting data to make decisions and not make it based upon your previous experience. Use that to inform it, but certainly make the effort to collect data. The second thing is, there is a lot of data that each and every business creates. Let's focus on tracking, measuring, generating that. And finally, take the third-party data sources that are available and see which one of those can really help you optimize your operations. There are many, many examples, weather data, things like that any business can use to really improve the operations of their organization. Finally, I just wanted to end by talking about Pittsburgh Dataworks. It's like Audrey mentioned, this is an organization that is very much a community coalition. It's a nonprofit. It's independent of IBM. And we have brought together a whole group of entities from universities, government, private sector, Tech Council, Allegheny Conference, into this organization to really provide opportunities within Pittsburgh for big data education, for learning more about how to execute projects, to locate expertise and things like that. So we have a whole set of activities that we do throughout the year. focused on those kinds of goals, and it is very much a volunteer-driven organization. There are no full-time employees. So if you want to be involved in learning about big data, if you want to contribute, I really encourage you to reach out and sign up, and would love to have more people within Pittsburgh involved, because in the end, our goal is to really start positioning and promoting Pittsburgh as a leading hub of big data and a city that is big data savvy. So with that, thank you very much.